Hello, in this video we're going to discuss Article 110.18, Arcing Parts. This part of the NEC focuses on safety when dealing with electrical equipment that can create arcs, sparks, flames, or even molten metal during normal operation. This includes equipment like motors, switches, or circuit breakers, which can sometimes create these hazardous conditions when electricity is flowing through them. The rule requires that parts be properly enclosed, separated, or isolated from anything combustible, meaning materials that could catch fire or burn if exposed to heat or sparks. So what does all this mean? Well, arcing happens when electrical current jumps across a gap, like between two wires or contacts, creating a flash of light and heat. Sparks are small bursts of light and heat caused by the same process. Flames and fires can occur if an arc gets too hot, lighting nearby materials. Molten metal can happen when the heat from an arc is so intense that it melts metal material. This rule is saying that if any part of the electrical equipment creates these dangers, it must be protected in a way that keeps these potential dangerous effects away from anything that could catch fire. So why was this rule created in the first place? The goal of Article 110.18 is to prevent fires and other dangerous situations that can arise from electrical equipment. When equipment like motors or circuit breakers operate, the possibility of arcing exists. Arcing can lead to sparks or even fire, which could spread to nearby materials and cause dangerous situations in buildings, factories, or homes. The rule also helps protect people from injury by reducing the risk of fires, electrical burns, or explosions in places where flammable materials may be present. Now let's discuss what enclosed, separated, or isolated actually mean. To comply with this rule, electrical equipment that could cause arcing must be enclosed or isolated in ways that prevent these sparks or arcs from reaching combustible materials. Here's what each term means. First up is enclosed. The part of the equipment that could cause arcing must be housed in a protective cover or casing that keeps sparks and heat contained. Next up is separated. If the arcing parts can't be fully enclosed, they need to be kept at a safe distance from any materials that could catch fire. And finally, we have isolated. If necessary, the arcing parts must be isolated using barriers or materials that block the heat and sparks from escaping to anything that might catch fire. So what are some common types of combustible materials? These are the materials that can catch fire easily, such as wood, paper, cloth, plastic, and some types of insulation materials. The key idea is that if any of these materials are too close to electrical components that might spark or arc, they could catch fire, leading to a dangerous situation. For more information on hazardous or classified locations, see Articles 500 through 517. This part refers to specific sections of the NEC that deals with locations where there may be explosive gases or flammable dust. In these locations, extra care needs to be taken to prevent electrical sparks from causing explosions or fires. For motors, see Article 430.14. This refers to another part of the NEC that talks about the safe operation of motors, which can also produce arcs or sparks. So why is this important? Well, this rule is important because electrical arcs and sparks are common, especially in high-powered environment like motors, switches, and circuit breakers. If these arcs happen near something flammable, it could easily lead to a fire or an explosion, which could damage property, cause injuries, or even be fatal. By enclosing or isolating these arc parts from combustible materials, the risks of these dangerous events happening is reduced. So let's walk through an example to help us better understand this rule. Imagine you are working in a factory that uses large motors to run machinery. These motors have parts that create sparks or arcs when they are operating. Without proper protection, a spark could fly out of the motor and land on a nearby wooden crate or plastic materials, causing a fire. The motor might also create a flame or molten metal if there is an electrical fault, and if there's sparks or wooden or molten metal touching something like paper or cardboard, they could ignite, starting a dangerous fire. Now, with proper enclosures or separations, the motor's electrical parts are safely enclosed in metal casing which contains the sparks and heat. If any sparks or arcs do occur, they are isolated from the wooden crates and plastic materials, preventing them from catching fire. This keeps the factory safe from risk of fire, and the workers are protected from dangerous effects of arcing. In short, Article 110.18 requires that parts of electrical equipment that produce sparks, arcs, flames, or molten metal during normal operation must be enclosed or isolated from anything that could catch fire. The goal is to prevent fires and explosions that can happen from electrical arcs, keeping people and property safe. This rule is especially important in places with a lot of combustible materials, like factories or warehouses.